Welcome to That 30 Show, a podcast where we talk about the good, the bad, and the surprising parts of our 30s. I'm G, and I'm almost 30. My 20s are filled with milestone moments from graduating university to starting a career and moving out for the first time. I'm mostly excited about what this next decade will bring, and I've got an overwhelming feeling that the best years are yet to come.
And I'm David. I'm already in my mid-30s. I used to have no back pain or trouble sleeping, but now I live off a healthy diet of self-help books and dream of being in bed by 10 p.m. every night. Join us each week as we try to figure out together what life in your 30s is all about. It's been a hot minute, G.
Welcome back to our podcast.
I feel like I haven't talked to you for a long time. You have a lot of updates, like interesting.
A lot has happened in 2023 so far. I feel.
It's so funny because coming off of our last conversation, we're talking about New Year's resolutions, and then we're a month in now, and I feel like your quick review of 2023 is probably not doing too well so far.
It feels like it's been months since we talked about our resolutions. And honestly, I haven't even looked at them or thought about them because I just...
Tell me why.
It's been a lot. Okay, well, I'll do a little recap of my January.
Okay,
so,
go for it.
First week of January, I spontaneously decided to go on a trip to Miami with my parents, which we can talk about that later because that was...
Have you been before?
Not to Miami. I've been to Orlando. That was new.
What comes to mind for Miami is CSI, I think. CSI Miami had a version there.
That is not what comes to my mind when I think of Miami. I think of like Miami
beaches,
and partying, and everyone.
Anyway,
and
I do want to get into that, but you had a lot in January. So what else happened?
Yeah, so day 2 of that trip, I got an email from my strata of my apartment telling me that my neighbor has flooded our entire floor, not only our floor, but all the floors below us. I'm on the 8th floor, all the way down to level 3 of parking. So
oh my God. How?
A sprinkler exploded because they were unauthorized to move a sprinkler, and it exploded in the middle of the night, flooding 24 units. So day 2, and it was Friday the 13th. Now, I'm not superstitious, but that's quite the coincidence.
You're a little suspicious, though.
Yes.
Do you know the Office quote? You don't
No.
watch The Office?
No, but that's
a legendary quote.
So yeah, that happened. And it was also my dad's birthday. So that was, quite a bittersweet day, kind of weird. So then for the rest of the trip, I kind of had to deal with that a little bit. And then when I got back, of course, my apartment is like a construction zone, right? There's fans all over the place. There's, all my baseboards have been ripped out. My floors are lifted. Like, that's what I come back to. So I've been dealing with that for a few weeks now. I still have like equipment on the floor. And then last weekend, that was like weekend 2, weekend 3, I ended up getting shellfish poisoning. So ate some raw oysters on Friday, and then Saturday evening just had really bad stomach pains, and I'll spare all the gruesome details, but it was bad. I don't think I've ever been so sick in my life, like truly.
Wow. But you managed to get through it by yourself.
There was nothing that anyone could have really done, I don't think. I mean, aside from, bring me food, but I could just order food, right? So it's not
was it scary to be by yourself? I don't know sort of what state you're in, right?
Not really.
I hate being sick by myself. I'm a huge baby. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And no one's going to know. They're going to find my corpse here like 2 months later.
Oh my gosh. That is so dramatic.
Or like, I'm going to like faint and like hit my head. And then like, I'm going to need like urgent medical attention, but no one's going to know. And it's going to be too late and I'm going to die. That's
Well,
what
for
always
me,
seems like.
I think I'd call 911 before I get to that point. But I mean, yeah, I guess it could happen suddenly. But no, it wasn't really that scary.
How long were you be from like until you were back to it? Let's say 90%.
I'm still only at 90% right
Oh
now,
God.
and it's been a week. Yeah. So that's why I was saying I've never been so sick, because usually I can, like, even when I had, COVID, it was good after a few days. Like any other time, I would be fine after a few days. Apparently, it's perfectly normal to be sick for a week. Like, to me, this has been like a really long time. So I still have, like, I still don't feel that great
Just
after a
like
week.
just energy levels, I guess, right? Like,
It's not so much energy level. I just feel like I'm still kind of nauseous. Like,
oh Jesus.
I get lightheaded if I walk too much, and I feel like my body is just trying to recover and like rebuild my gut,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Wait, so what
yeah,
happened to your to the other people that you ate with?
one of my friends just didn't felt kind of off as well, but she wasn't like as sick as I was, and then my other two friends were fine. So I'm assuming I had shellfish poisoning, right? But it could have been something else. I'm not really sure. So
So so everyone escaped eating the same
yeah,
thing that you did.
yeah. Well, maybe I just had a bad oyster, right? It really depends.
That's
So
nuts.
yeah,
Oh, what a January.
it was crazy, and then here we are. And I felt like January has felt so long. Like, I can't believe New Year's happened. I mean, now that, we're in February, but I can't believe New Year's happened in the same month as like all of those things. How was your month?
Did not travel with parents, did not have my apartment flooded, and did not get food poisoning. So on the whole, pretty uneventful.
Yeah.
I feel like these are all, again, just always thinking about like, what we're here to talk about, right? I feel like traveling with parents, dealing with your property stuff, like strata stuff, and obviously your body potentially being needing more higher maintenance than it maybe it used to in terms of
Yeah.
like bouncing back from illness. Just want to say these are all very very relevant topics. So thank you for bringing it to the table. I want to get the highlights of your vacation, not just the parent angle, but like just tell me more. You went for a week. Where did you stay? What did you do?
Okay, I will
Highlights,
just say
lowlights.
I loved Miami. I didn't think that I would love Miami as much as I did. And like Florida in general, I've always heard, stories of like,
Republicans,
yeah, right?
conservatives,
Like people in Florida, they have a certain rep, and like you
crocodiles.
always hear stuff. But I will say everyone I met or everyone I encountered, they were all super nice. I have such a change of heart for Florida like now.
I'm not surprised at all. Like I think of I think of Miami. I think it's like it fits like a glove. I'm just talking about my ass right now because I don't know anything about Miami. But having said that, Miami as a city is almost to me like the city version of G. It's like
That's so nice.
cheerful. It's like it's bustling. It's like sunny. It's happy.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like the beach city, but then there's
yeah,
also
feel
like,
good vibe. It's like real feel good vibes there.
yeah, it is. But the one thing about Miami and LA and all those places is that they're warm all year round. I don't think I can handle that. I do like our seasons. So that's the one thing that I
That's
couldn't
true. You love your
stay.
fall and spring, and actually you love
Yeah,
all the
like I
seasons.
actually don't mind the rain at all. I just think the vibes in Miami,
Yes,
are
I can I
great.
I can
So,
only imagine. But
yeah, driving along the highway with all the palm trees.
do you think
Yeah,
Miami is better to go with friends
friends.
compared to your parents?
Definitely.
I have a feeling you're like, oh my gosh, I could do so much. There's so much potential here that is not being tapped because I'm with
Yeah.
my parents.
Well, totally. Like the bars, the restaurants, like all along the beach, right? You can see it gets bumping, and like I'm just like peering in like I
Must
wish
be
I
nice.
was there.
But you are there. So then what did you do then? What was the highlights of it?
Well, surprisingly, my mom really likes the beach. I feel like that's pretty rare for
That
like
is weird. That is weird. Yeah, for
older
Asian moms,
Asian
yeah, they don't
parents.
want to be in the outdoors. They want
Yeah,
to be comfortable.
my mom loves the beach maybe almost as much as I do. Like on the last day, we were like, okay, well, what should we do for our last day? And she's like, I think we should go back to the beach. And I was like,
That is
we already went
so
to the beach
cute.
yesterday. Yeah, she's like, and she doesn't know how to swim. She tried to learn in the ocean by herself. I
That
had
is
to be on Baywatch.
not setting yourself up for success there.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that happened on vacation then about Miami? Not necessarily with your parents, but like, what's the thing you like the least about your experience?
Probably just the food. Like, didn't love the food. And the food is, you know, my parents are Asian. They're not really into like eating, I don't know, white food all the time. So we're like on the
were there a
scout
lot of
for
Asians, by the way? Or like
no.
did you feel like a minority?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely feel like, you know, it's not as many Asians as you would encounter in Vancouver.
Sure.
There's a few, but I just probably wouldn't go to the States again in the near future because the American inflation is pretty bad right now. Like when you used to go to the States, when you used to go to the States, even though there was a 30% like exchange rate, stuff was also cheaper. So
no, things were cheaper. Yeah, you go to the States because things are cheaper.
Yeah, and then like even with the 30% conversion rate, it ends up being around the same, right? Like
sure.
Now, like their prices, especially for food, is on par with Canadian prices in terms of like the number, right? The value. And so with another 30% markup on top of that, everything is just crazy. Like you eat anything and it's insane. Like it's so expensive.
You while you were on vacation, there was a study that came out I wanted to touch upon briefly. You mentioned how you were like longingly staring into the bar, being like, I wish I could be there. What did you, so your parents don't drink?
No.
Is that why you guys didn't go to the bar?
I mean, my dad like will have a beer, but I'm not going to bring my parents to the bar. It's
why
just, it's not right.
My dad has brought me to a bar before when I was young to like show me the ropes.
Yeah, but
like, son, this is how you drink beer.
No.
Did you hear about the new study that came out that was like, Canadians, please stick to 2 drinks a week?
I saw that while I was in Miami. Yeah, I saw all the Instagram posts.
It was everywhere.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, what the fuck? Right?
Yeah.
Not me, because I don't drink. But it's I think, well, tell me what you think. I'm thinking for you, it's like, you're like, okay, whatever. And a study comes out like this, like every few years, and everyone panics about it for like a day, and then you just move on and continue drinking. Is that kind of your response?
Like it was kind of like a shock factor to me, and then it made me feel kind of like, oh, maybe I should cut back on my drinking, which is maybe the intent of the ad, so it worked.
It's not an ad; it's a legit scientific study.
Yeah. Whatever. Right? So it did have like an impact on me because now that's kind of in the back of my mind. But I mean, I can't even think about drinking right now. Like I'm just trying to heal myself. We went out to karaoke on Friday, and some of my friends are doing dry February. So not drinking this month, and they're like, oh, like longingly looking at the drinks that are on the table. And I obviously couldn't drink because I was not feeling good, and I had looked at it and I literally had zero desire to drink that
welcome
liquor.
to my life. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I have a couple of thoughts I wanted to share about the alcohol thing.
Yeah.
The first one is, do you think that it's possible?
Wait, did you explain it first? You did.
No,
right?
I mean, I explained it. It's basically a study came out that looked at all the research out there, like tons and tons of research, basically like a literature review, I guess, or whatever you call it, and summarized that based on like these 5,000 studies, more than 2 drinks a week is significantly harmful for your health, basically, right? Is that it? Yeah.
Yep.
So 3 thoughts. First one is, do you think, as someone who partakes in this alcohol society, no judgment, everyone does it, that's fine, it's just me, that's boring. Do you think that it's possible, if not likely, that alcohol is going to be the same thing as smoking, in the sense that like everyone did it, and then like decades later it's like, holy crap, like why did everyone do it? It's so harmful. People still do it, but it's like one of those things where like, do you know what I'm trying to get at here?
I thought that was already the case. People have been drinking alcohol for a long time. I feel like it's not nothing new, right?
No,
So,
but like right now, right? Like you go to a party, everyone drinks. Everyone doesn't go smoking unless you're in a specific smoking social circle.
oh, you're talking about
Like it's social taboo, and not taboo.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
socially not as acceptable to smoke. And if you do,
Yeah,
it's like, okay, we know that's unhealthy, but okay, whatever, you do you. Right now, it's like, oh, you don't drink? Like what the hell? Like what's wrong with you?
right.
Kind of thing.
You think
Or
like
it's like,
you're asking if alcohol would get to that level someday?
no, I'm asking if you think that we alcohol is, because I think for most people they don't think of it like that right now. They don't think of alcohol in the same way that we would think of smoking, because it's not recognized as harmful as that. But I think, I guess my opinion is that alcohol, similar to social media use, honestly, it's going to be like one of those things where down the road we're like, why did we give people free reign over that? Why was it such a social norm? It's so harmful for us. Or do you think it's not like that?
I don't know. I don't know because like smoking is one of those things where people like become addicted to nicotine and then they have to smoke like every day, like
Well,
more
there's
like a lot.
alcoholism.
Well, sure, but not everyone's
Less,
at that level, right? But
right?
people don't just go out and have like one smoke. I mean, I guess some people do, but that's less likely to go
Yeah,
out and
yeah.
just have a casual smoke, right?
Right. So
Nicotine is like highly
alcohol is less
addictive.
addictive. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My second thought is, I think the problem is everyone's asking like, what is two drinks? What does that even mean? And I think that's part of the problem with the study, is that it doesn't really, the headlines anyway, maybe it does say in the study. And I think when I saw news reports, it said like, oh, a standard, like what a standard drink is, a glass of wine, an 8-ounce glass of wine or something. Um, but, uh, but that's not helpful. Like that, the science communication there, similar to COVID, in terms of like how it was communicated to public, I think is really poor. And I think that's partly why people have been so unhappy and emotional about uh, this news report, because it's like, what does that even mean? Two drinks? But the main thing I wanted to mention is I was listening to this podcast recently that talked about this study and what was the real problem with it. And I think it made a lot of sense. So the background here is that it's very easy for me to talk about, oh, you shouldn't drink, don't drink, it's unhealthy, because I don't like to drink and I don't really drink. In the ideal world, I would be completely banned from alcohol, or ban myself from alcohol. But I think at best, I probably would be classified as someone who drinks socially. So that's the context here, is that it's like, it's easy for me to say don't drink. But I have a lot of empathy for society and sort of people who like to party and be less inhibited in a way. So the problem with this study is that, I'll give an analogy with COVID, right? The problem with COVID messaging as time went along is that people have a different tolerance of risk. But there was no communication of the level of risk in relation to COVID measures. It was a standard prescription of how you should manage COVID risks without any regard for the fact that everyone's risk tolerance is different. For example, you have people who ride motorcycles. That's risky. And you have people who choose not to ride motorcycles because they're more risk averse. I won't ride a motorcycle because it's really dangerous. But I know a lot of normal, regular folks who ride motorcycles. And then with COVID, it's like, okay, I'm willing to go out. I see there's a risk. I'll wear a mask, but I could still get COVID, but that's my choice. And then you have other people who literally just lock themselves at home because they don't even want to go out, even with an N95.
Yeah.
And so I think the problem with this alcohol study is that it's like everyone do not drink more than 2 drinks. Well, what if I actually have a mentality that I just want to live life to the fullest, and even if this literally shortens my life by 10 years, I want to do it. There's people that would say that, and I think all the power to you. It's like, I understand there's a risk by driving. Like car crashes are very common, but I still drive because I want to accept the risk. So I think a study like this would be much more helpful if it tells you okay, if you drink up to 2 drinks per week, you have no measurable difference in lifespan or increase in heart disease, or I don't know whatever alcohol causes, right? But if you drink 5 drinks a week, you will shorten your life by 5 years, and your risk of heart attack goes up by 30%. If you drink 10 drinks a week, and it's like these are the risks, you decide, rather than like blanket ban. Everyone should not drink 2 drinks because people have different levels of tolerance of risk. If I love alcohol and I love sort of that sort of what it does for the party. I don't I can't talk about me talking about alcohol is hilariously nonsensical.
I'm trying to walk in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. But if I love alcohol, like let's say like I love movies, but if someone suddenly told me if you watch more than one movie a month, it's harmful for you, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm still going to watch a movie every month, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, how much? What's the risk? So I think that's the problem. What do you think about that?
I have a few thoughts on that. So first of all, I really like the risk scale that you proposed. Maybe you should send in a letter or because you're right. Like that would be way more effective than just saying, Canadians should not have more than 2 drinks. Because what would that mean in the end, right? Like what if I have more than 2 drinks? Like what does that mean for me? And I think it would make people actually more risk adverse. Like people who might have been okay drinking more drinks before, if they see that kind of scale, they might be like, okay, well, maybe I do want to live 10 more years or like 5 more years, but they weren't thinking about that before, right?
And it gives the autonomy back to the person to decide how they want to live their life, right? Yeah. It's like, I don't want to not stop partying. I'm okay accepting 5 years less in my life because whatever, I don't want to live life miserably, right? And a lot of people, the idea of only 2 drinks a week is miserable, and it's not going to increase. It's going to have a significant impact on the quality of life. And I'm betting a lot of people are willing to, for example, I don't know if this is actually the effect, right? But just hypothetically, I'm betting a lot of people who do drink regularly would be like, hell yeah, I'll accept 5 years less in my life, because what kind of life is that if I don't have any drinks? It's no fun.
I don't know. I feel like if you had a study like that come out for me, where there's like a scale of your lifespan versus like, I think I'd be like, I'd think about it a little bit more, because I'd be like, well, maybe I want to live more of life versus like drinking. I think I would actually go and drink less. Like that would be more effective for me to drink less.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, I'm not even thinking about how effective it would be. It's, for me, it's just respect, not patronizing the public to like, oh, you can't make decisions for yourself.
I just wonder, maybe they don't have that kind of data available.
Like no, they do, because it's like that's how they draw the line of like 2 drinks is okay, but more is significantly worse, because they have the data of like, I should look it up. I didn't do the research in advance of this, but it's like, if you do this much, it's going to have this much more impact. But like, they drew the line, and I think the problem is like, you should let individuals draw the line themselves based on the data. So it's not like, the headline should not be 2 drinks a week. The headline should be, alcohol is more harmful than widely thought. Here are the risk levels. Make sure you drink responsibly. It's like play. What was it?
Know your limit, play within it.
Yeah. Know your limit, play within it. Apply. That's the same thing. Gambling is dangerous, but we let you do it.
I will say though, it's going back to when you said, oh, people are just confused. Like, what does 2 drinks mean? I mean, I think that's a load of crap. Like, you can use your common sense. Like, a glass of wine is a drink, a gin and tonic is a drink. I mean, they're not talking about like, if you add 4 shots to 1 drink, like that's a drink,
How many drinks a week do you think you have on average? Because party's hard, for those who don't know. And I say that in an admirable way. Like,
I don't know if it's admirable. I mean, it really depends on the week, right? Like, if we're going out, like 3-4 drinks.
Really?
Yeah. Like, if we're talking cocktails, 3-4 cocktails. I mean, 4 is a lot. So, but it can go up. Sometimes I'm not a casual drinker, right? I drink socially, solely socially. I have friends who are casual drinkers, like they'll have a glass of wine at night or
Oh, right, just
whatever.
by themselves. You never drink by yourself.
I never drink by myself, so it's always with others. So it really
Mm.
depends on how many events I have going on that week.
But you know what might really help if you're hungover? Actually, I don't know. I shouldn't say this. I feel like I'm not gonna make a lot of friends. But in my very limited experience of being hungover, aka probably never, I'm gonna guess that it might actually really help you feel better if you took a cold shower. Do you think it would? And the next morning, just be like freshen up.
Yes, I have heard there's actually a study or something on that where you like people dunk their heads in ice cold water and
Oh
apparently it
my
helps a
god.
hangover. So like they put a bowl of ice cold water with
Yeah,
ice,
yeah,
like a
yeah,
bunch
yeah,
of ice, and they just
yeah.
dunk their head in it. And apparently it helps your hangover. So I would imagine a cold shower to be sort of similar,
You should
right?
for the podcast try that next time you're hungover and report
It just
back.
sounds so miserable though. But I mean if it helps, I guess maybe.
Do you have a ice machine or have ice at home?
I have ice at home. I
Okay.
just the thought of like being hungover and then dunking your head in ice cold water is just the worst thing that I could do, I
last
think.
last time we chatted, we were very enthusiastically talking about cold showers. Actually, and you're
Yes.
the one who inspired me after that podcast. Was it during a recording? Yeah, you talked about it, right?
Yeah, because that was
And
one of
then
my goals to
and
be
then
uncomfortable.
I went off, and ever since that conversation, I started taking cold showers every morning. So I just want to ask you how that's been going for you.
I haven't been that consistent in January.
Tut 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 tut.
Because well, when I was on vacation, my shower, like the shower in our hotel room was kind of wonky, so it ended up being cold mostly anyway. And then when I got back, I think I did it for about a week. And then I got sick. So then I haven't been doing it. So it's been really on and off. But I have noticed that I don't know. I really enjoy it. It still hurts though. I don't know if people ever get used to doing cold showers. It hurts. It's like a discipline for the mind to stay in that cold shower.
That's the whole
So,
point. It's supposed to
yeah,
hurt. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to discipline your mind.
I know. That's why I had it on my resolutions list, but I dread it every time. But I was talking to you and it sounded like you think it's not that bad.
So after we talked about it last time, I was like, I'm so inspired. She's doing it. I heard about it for many years. I read about it in some of the books I recently read. So I'm like, is a good sign because I was already thinking about starting it, and then you started it. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. Basically, I love it. I don't dread it nearly as much as I think you do. I certainly do dread it, but because I've always felt so freaking amazing afterwards,
Yeah.
it's like I think I have the same attitude towards it that you do with workout.
Exercise.
Yeah. I think you don't necessarily look forward to working out per se, but you
Yeah,
like how it makes you feel,
for sure.
right?
For sure.
And so because of that, it's actually not and I don't actually find that painful. I don't know if it's because my shower's not cold enough.
Like mine is ice cold. So I'm literally like in there like yelping and like shivering but it feels there's a difference when you don't make it cold enough. You don't actually feel as good as if you make it like ice cold. That's what I found.
Yeah, I think there's some times when I don't make it cold enough, but it's cold. Like it's painful a lot of the times, and I come out and my body's like all red.
Like you feel good afterwards. You
Yeah,
definitely feel like when you turn the shower off, you definitely feel, your that feeling that you get in your body.
yeah,
It's like
yeah. But I
tingly.
think I think I do need to make it a little bit colder. But having said that, it is still cold, right?
Yeah.
Just maybe not as cold as I should make it. I'll try and make it colder. I'll. It's hard when so like what I do is I wake up now. I'll talk about my morning routine more another time. But I wake up, I use the washroom, and then like literally that's immediately the first thing I do. I don't do anything. I use the
That is
washroom.
really hard.
I use the washroom. I'm half asleep, and then I step into the shower, and I
Okay.
do it and I go for two minutes. And it's hard because in that moment, you're so tired, you're so like sleepy, you just woke up, and the last thing you want is to be dunked on by ice cold water, right? But this is how I do it. So the first few times I did it, I actually went way over time. Like first few times I did it, I went for like 4 minutes because
Wow.
my timer didn't work. So like I set a timer.
I'm so impressed.
I set a timer and I'm just like, why is it not ringing? I'm like, okay, suck it up. It's probably just because time feels very different when you're when you're feeling ice cold water over you.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then afterwards, after I'm just like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's been 2 minutes now. And I look at my watch, it's like taking like 4 minutes 30. I'm like, oh my gosh, stupid. Why am I still here?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So the
I'm
first
really
few times,
impressed. I could not go past 2 minutes. Like,
oh yeah.
mm-mm.
Yeah, and I really think so. The first few times I went way too long, and I realized my timer just wasn't working. So okay, I need to figure out a way to time myself. How do you time yourself? Do you just do it by feeling?
Well, I wear my watch when I shower, so I just can see it.
Yeah, so I tried to do that, but I guess my watch sucks or whatever. But because it's kept on pausing, even though I wasn't touching it, I think like the water droplets or
Oh.
something was affecting the sensors.
Well, I mean, I don't even set a timer. I just kind of look at my watch.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Anyways, so I was trying to figure it out, and then so I was like, okay, you know what? Why don't I find a 2 minute motivational clip?
Wow, you're just
Like a
stacking all the habits on top of each other.
Like if I could wake up every day, do a cold shower while listening to some like freaking motivational shit, like that's just gonna be the most hardcore shit ever.
Holy cow, who are you?
So I found a clip by one of my favorite people, Jocko Willink. Do you know who he is? Who he
No.
is? Damn, really? Okay. He's a badass Navy SEALs guy that does leadership, and he has a podcast, and he's all about like getting after it, wakes up at 4:30 a.m. every day, works out, And so I found an excerpt of a clip from his podcast, and it's 2 minutes 20 seconds, this entire YouTube video. I was like, this is perfect, because that 20 seconds gives me the time. I press play, I get in the shower,
Yeah.
I turn on the water, make sure the temperature's good. And so this clip is about him talking about this concept of how you respond to setbacks with the word good. And it's pretty hardcore, and he's just talking about like, oh, right, when you didn't get the job you wanted, good. When you sprain your ankle, good. Whenever these hardships happen, just think about like, this is good. This is an opportunity. I'm still alive. And so it's like that hardcore kind of like, suck it up. Like, it's if bad things happen, it's actually a good thing that bad things happen. So I listened to this clip, and then there's a point at the 20-second mark where he's like, oh, so like my buddy was asking me, and like, I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say good, when I tell you something bad that happened. That's my cue to turn on the shower head, right? Oh. So like, cause like I'm dreading it. I'm like, I don't want to turn this on. I don't want to turn it on, but like I have to follow it, because if I don't follow it, then I'm not gonna hit my 2 minute mark. So it's like I'm standing in the shower, I'm looking up, and I'm listening to Jocko talk, and then I'm just waiting for him to say that part where he says, oh, my buddy, he asked me like, oh, what if this thing happens? I know, but you're just gonna say the same thing you're gonna say. You're just gonna say good. And then the moment he says good, I turn on the water, and I'm like, good. And then I say, let's go. And then as he talks, like I like repeat and shout out like the things he says. He's like, dust off. He's like, dust off. And I go, dust off. He's like, get up. He's like, re-engage. It's like, do the thing I do when I work out, right? I'm just like, when it's time, I'm like, good. It's supposed to be hard. Get it.
That's so funny.
Do you know? Can you picture me?
I can picture it, and it's hilarious.
And then so like when it's like especially when it's hurting, right? And then obviously throughout the clip he says good a lot. So I'm just like screaming good in the shower. Good. It's like if you're still alive, if you're still breathing or whatever. I'm like, I'm still breathing. Sorry, that was a bit loud. But so yeah, that's my morning shower experience. I'm like screaming good whenever it hurts, and then he's like, step up, dust off, re-engage. I'm like, re-engage. And then and then I turn it off. Yeah. So that's how I time my 2 minute cold showers. I listen to him screaming at me, telling me that things are good when things are bad, all the time.
Whatever gets you through those showers. That sounds like a really, really great way to to take your cold showers. It's like motivating and you
Yes.
feel good at the same time.
And like, no matter how tired I am, obviously for obvious reasons, once I finish my cold shower, I'm like awake. I'm so there. I'm like
Exactly.
instantly on. It feels great. And just showering in general, even if you took a hot shower, it feels good, right? Like your body feels refreshed, much less with a cold shower. So thank you for inspiring me to start a cold shower. I would say I've been pretty consistent. I'm not doing it every single day, but I would say on average, I do it at least 5, if not 6 days a week.
No, that's awesome. And there's obviously a lot of other like benefits to cold showers too, right? It's supposed to help
physiologically
improve your immune system and all that jazz. So, no, I think that's a great thing. That's awesome.
I've heard that like 10 minutes a week of cold sort of immersion in some way somehow is what hits the spot for you as a healthy person, to try and get 10 minutes of cold exposure in a week.
Yeah.
So
well, it's getting more and more popular. There's now these like cold plunge tubs that you can buy and
very
all
expensive,
that stuff.
I've heard. I know Joe Rogan has one.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people that I follow seem to have one, and they're all very successful and leadership people. And so
do you know how much it costs?
If you guys have one.
Did you ever look into it? I'm guessing thousands of dollars.
I think. Yeah.
Sorry, what, 50,000?
No, a few thousand.
Oh, a few thousand.
A few $1,000s.
Oh, we could afford that. Split it between the two of us.
It's a how are we gonna
do a podcast while being cold immersed in the cold shower, not cat shower?
Yeah, I mean, you could also just do that in your own home, right? It just takes more effort. Like fill the tub with cold water.
That's true. My friend told me there's a cold plunge at Miniru.
Yeah, you told me, and then you were going to consider signing up for it, so you can go to the gym too.
Yeah. I have. That's another.
Hey,
not really a topic. I have been to the gym a couple times since.
I was gonna say, how's working out with your friend?
So, for context, I've been working out consistently for the past year or so, but I just do workouts at home, more body weight, calisthenics, somewhat sort of HIIT style, but not really HIIT. Compared to the gym, I don't know if it's because I'm still learning, and so like it's kind of like slow paced, but I think that it's just different in the sense that I'm used to my workouts being, I'm just like drenched in sweat. I'm so tired and I can barely move. And I'm huffing and puffing, and my heart rate's super high, and it's super hot. Yeah, I'm super sweaty. That's what I feel like a good workout is, because that's how I do it at home. When I go to the gym with my friend, it's not like that. It's usually by the end of it, I'm just like, is that it? Like, can we keep going?
It really does take some getting used to. Before I used to go to the gym consistently to like lift weights, I used to do all those classes as well, like those fitness
like those
classes.
YouTube stuff. Yeah.
A lot of it was HIIT, a lot of it was like high intensity cardio, and yeah, I did feel like that was the best for me at the time because it made me sweat and things like that. And I just never went to the gym because the few times that I would do it, like you said, I feel like I didn't actually work out. So what you're trying to achieve is really different. One is for cardiovascular health, and like, you build muscle, you tone along the way, but it's not giving you like these crazy muscles that you're building with what you can do with weights, right? So it really depends on what you're looking for.
So basic question here. So it can still and is still a good workout at the gym if at the end of it I'm not drenched in sweat, my heart rate's not super high, and I don't
for
feel...
sure. That's kind of why I go to both.
Mm-hmm.
You could do both.
Yeah. I think I would probably do both. It's been fun. I guess it's sort of nice to use their equipment and like put on the weights and like feel like, oh, I'm one of those guys now. I'm doing this. I'm doing this deadlift.
It also feels really good when you can like progress in weight, right? So because it's measurable.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I'll keep that up. Do you think you'll keep up the cold showers?
Yeah, for sure.
I think I'm more enthusiastic about it than you are at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you are definitely very enthusiastic about it. I've been loving them too. It definitely feels really good. I mean, I haven't gotten to the point where like you, I'm like, I don't know. You seem to be almost looking forward to it. And, you know, I do it because it feels good after. So, one fun thing that I did in January was I tried a new workout class. So That was pretty fun. F45. Have you heard of it before?
No, tell me more.
It's like circuit training, boot camp. So there's some calisthenics in there. It's really hard. It's really challenging. Like it's like hit the entire class for the 45 minutes. And I think you might actually really like it. Like there's strength
where was the
incorporated.
invite?
Sorry.
Who'd you go with?
My friend. It kind of resembles like CrossFit sometimes. It's
Right.
like a lot of different circuits and a lot of different movements, like 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off kind of thing.
I like that. I like
Tabata,
that.
yeah. And so many different stations. Every station's kind of different. And you just kind of go through circuit training, right?
So if you're at different fitness levels or strength levels, how does that work?
I would definitely say that the classes are like intermediate. Like I think if you're a real beginner, and you're obviously not a beginner, but like I don't think it would. I think it'd be really challenging because you kind of have to know. Like they'll be like, okay, well, you got to do a burpee, or like you got to do, you kind of have to know.
You can follow along, right? You can see what other
You
people
can,
are doing.
but I would see it being really hard. Like if it's your first time ever working out and you go to an F45 class, like you obviously won't die, but you'll die a little.
No,
bit.
I mean, even if you're intermediate or whatnot, like you have people who are fitter than others. So like, how does it work? For example, if I follow a video and I'm like, can't keep up with like Chloe Ting or whatever, right? Like I'll just go slower or I'll like take a longer break.
Oh yeah, you can do that, right? Because it's time based. So you have like 30 seconds at your station to do.
Okay. So you can go
as many reps as
if your fitness level can't keep up with the class
average, so to speak, you do like one rep.
You just go slower during the during that.
Yeah, but the way that they really push you to go as hard as you can, right?
Yeah.
So it's
fun.
Hard to cheat. It's fun. I think you'd actually really like it.
I did want to talk about a few things, but I don't think we'll get to it today. But just as a teaser, I suppose. I know you mentioned about your apartment being flooded and the insurance and stuff. I want to talk about that a little bit on a future episode because I think home ownership and everything that comes with that is pretty big for people in their 30s. Yeah. I think I have a lot of friends who bought in their late 20s or buying in their early 30s or upgrading to a townhouse now or something like that kind of thing. And just dealing with like maintenance and repairs. Because when you're renting as a renter, that's one of the main benefits is you don't have to deal with any of that. And that's
totally
why it's really
I'm
good.
Still in the thick of it. And so, maybe when I come out the other side,
yeah, you can tell us talk
all about it.
You can debrief like about how the whole process went. Because it sounds like you're still tying up the loose ends there about how it works.
It's gonna be a while for sure.
I was just gonna say, I was thinking of like, how else have you taken your Thrive in Discomforts New Year's resolution? I was gonna joke. I was like, you took your Thrive in Discomfort resolution a little too seriously by getting shellfish poisoning.
Yeah, like, okay, just living in a fever.
Chill out. Yeah, chill out with those resolutions, G. Like, don't go and poison yourself, okay? Come on. There's more constructive ways to be uncomfortable. Yeah. For what it's worth, you certainly have had a very uncomfortable January. Was it worth it? That raw oyster, was it yummy?
I'm never eating raw oysters again.
Actually? Because you and your girls, you guys always go for the oyster happy hours and stuff.
I don't think I can do it anymore. Like that was so traumatizing that I don't think I would take that risk again. Maybe I'll say different in a few months or whatever, or at a year. I don't know. But...
Well, good on ya for surviving.
Yes.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.